Now, when it comes to the logical data model, so this is how generally a logical data model will be of useful for, or looks like, I can say. Logical data model means whatever the logics we are implementing. So where do we implement logics? Logics where you are implementing the logic, you are implementing the logic for the code which you are writing. Am I right or not? Yes, sir.
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense.
So when it comes to the logical data model clearly defines us about what logics we are implementing for a particular functionality. Now, when we are trying to understand about the logic for a particular functionality, there are different entities, attributes, and as well as relationships will be there. For example, uh, you want to specify about some customer, right? So customer data was there, right? So how you are going to represent the customer? The customer identification and all everything we were doing based on the customer ID number or the policy ID number which was given to the customer. That is one area we'll be focused more on. At the same time, if you want to update the details relating to the customer itself is concerned based on his name, based on his contact number, the kind of policy what they have taken, right? So how many times the claim process was helped. So all these things are interrelated. Understood? So these are all interrelated. Means whatever the basic information which customer has given, these data will be used in different ways in different stages. For example, there is some process of claim it is required. So process of claims happens on what based upon the policy number which was given to the customer, because the same policy number will be continued everywhere. When, for example, there is some renewal of insurance was happened, right? The same policy number will be used. Or else if you want to update any kind of policy records, you may be required some the same policy number. Or else if there is any kind of claim processing or something has to happen, the same policy number will be used. Understood or not? There are different entities which normally we use in data model and all. At the same time, there are different attributes and as well as relationships which normally we uses. All these things are comes under the logical perspective of the application. Means whatever the services we are developing, the kind of product coverage, whatever the kind of product coverage we are doing, either we are identifying any kind of product identification we are doing, right? So all these things. So whatever the type of product we are using, right? So what are the types of services which are relating to the particular product? So logical conclusion has to be given. This is where something which we call it as application, because if there is no logical conclusion as such, then there is no implementation. Okay, because business conclusion won't be giving you any solution for that. Business conclusion may be giving you a business solution, but end of the day, so whatever the business solution were identified by us being a business analyst, that has to be translated into a technical solution. So if you want to translate this into a technical solution, we need to give a conclusion from the logical perspective, how the logic has to be implemented for a particular functionality. For example, we wants to extract the records of the customer, right? So based upon the premium when they have paid, right? So you want to generate some reports, right? So if you want to generate reports, what is required? There are some SQL queries we have to write. Understood? Yes or no? Right? There are different SQL queries which normally we have to write. So these
Yeah,
SQL queries may be varied, because for example data if for manipulation purpose you may be required this, or else you may be required this not only for manipulation purpose, you may be required data for query purpose also, because if you want to query the data, so query the data on what basis generally this will be done. Query of the data will be done based upon the kind of select option which normally we use it. What we have to do here, we need to query it, right? So whatever the queries and all everything is what something. So there are different queries which database administration team or database team have to write queries and all for the data and all, right? So you want to extract some query, or if you want to update the data, or else if you want to create the data, or if you want to delete the data. For that, all the purposes, there are some queries which we wants to write, different queries we have to write. So if you want to write the queries, this is all something useful for us to extract the information. If you want to extract the information, what is that we required? To extract the information, there must be some data table which has to be created. In this data table, whatever the queries we wants to mention, everything has to be updated in it in regular intervals. This is where generally logic has to be written, because data you are creating, database model you are going to create. So data tables you are creating, and the columns you are creating to store the data. But end of the day, you need to write some logic to complete that particular functionality. Okay. For example, policy premium was paid by the customer on time. So once the premium of a particular policy was paid by the customer annually or so, usually what will happen automatically when someone has paid the premium, automatically we get a notification message that the payment was done successfully, and maybe in fraction of seconds or minutes or so, usually we get a confirmation message or an official message will be sent through an email option or something to the customer stated that your policy was renewed. So how is this happened? This is not something happened manually. Am I right or not? Right. So there are some logics which you have to write for a policy to be renewal update automatically. Okay. Point number one. Point number two, for example, logics will be implemented. For example, there is this month, there are a couple of renewals were there for a particular customer who has taken the insurance plan. Okay. So there must be some auto reminders has to send to the registered email IDs to the customer stated that so and so renewal was nearing to you. So wherein you need to renew it so that else it will be lapsed, right? So this is an auto reminders and auto messages which we are sending. So for that, what we have to do, we have to write some logic for the particular functionality. So if you want to write the functionality and all, there are some logical implementation which has to be implemented in a form of writing a business logic. For that reason, creating some logical data models and all everything are something which is useful to us.